I'm actually embarrassed. It's pretty ironic that I'm up here talking about love, because at one time, I was kind of a jackass in the game of love. I mean, clueless really, blind actually. I was never taught how to play the game of love. We're just expected to figure it out, right? And maybe we didn't have the best examples. I was a comedy of errors, a true tragic comedy. Maybe you can relate. Or maybe you're so scared of love, you don't even come close to it. Maybe you're divorced, a child of divorce. Or you have no idea what love is or what it feels like. No matter how you've wrestled with the idea of love, I'm here to tell you, as a love investigator, it's not your fault. It's our parents' fault. Here's mine. Cute, right? High school sweethearts. My mom voted most athletic and my dad a football player. They were married not long after graduating from high school and then living in a trailer next to my grandparents' farmhouse, pregnant with my older sister. A great love story about to unfold. Dad got to work on his big ideas, and my mom wholeheartedly supported him. She relied on him for family, love, everything. So with her unwavering support, he started up the hill of ideas he had in his head to make it big. Big in a small town. 25 months later, I was born, and 30 months after that, my younger sister. No boys, and in my dad's mind, nobody to pass on what he thought was going to be his immense legacy. So, many cows, sporting events, show and tells, arguments about cows, and then because of my dad's resentment and spite, without us knowing it, mine and my sister's horses being sent off on the cow's death truck. There too was the death of a marriage, the end of a dream. It was ugly in the ugliest way. My mom was embarrassed in our small community as my dad kept wandering off into other women's pastures. And this was after my mom's breast cancer diagnosis. My dad tried to outlast my mom's cancer so he could get it all by suggesting he was coming back, but had no intention of actually doing it. Yet she waited for him through numerous degrading moments. One night, my mom's sisters and I were watching Magnum PI at our family house. My dad had moved out, but he comes stumbling in drunk, kind of collapses on the floor in front of us and mutters, "Selfish bitches." We were a little bit blindsided. I don't remember what we did. I'd like to say we left, but that moment stuck with me forever, and that was just the beginning. What's even sadder is I know it's nothing compared to what some of you have been through. My sisters and I did the best we could for Mom. We stayed with her. We went to her doctor's appointments. She lived with us in the end. But essentially, she died of cancer, divorced, and alone. Because the one person that said he would be there for her through sickness and health, through good times and bad, wasn't. They absolutely ruined love for me. The tragedy of divorce is real. In some way, shape, or form, almost all of us have been or will be affected by divorce. It doesn't matter your demographic. And even after all the love advice out there, the divorce rate is high, 50%, give or take. Studies show children of divorce have behavior problems, anxiety, depression. For me, it was resentment, which turned into the jackass I was talking about earlier. I was bitter. How could a love I thought was so true turn into that? What was I missing? Or maybe I was stupid enough to believe in something that clearly is not real. Love. 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 But I want it. We all do. Everybody does. We all know it. We all need it. It's the number one thing by far that is written about, sung about, talked about, leaves us writhing in pain and stumbling head over heels into it. Dream weaving, longing, lying, skipping, groveling, groaning, moaning, and so many more ings, so many more. Yet we still don't understand it. Brene Brown says the one thing she knows for sure, in the absence of love and belonging, there's always suffering. Wow. In the absence of love and belonging, there's always suffering. So how do we open our eyes from the blindness to find love? What I'm about to reveal to you after years of searching, sleuthing, and observing the game of love showed me what happened in my parents' relationship. It explains what's going on underneath all of our relationships. I believe I've found the playbook to the game of love. Because I promise you, our parents didn't want to hurt each other. They didn't want to divorce. They didn't want to abandon you. And although I felt like it was my fault at one time, I promise you, we were not the reason they did. They were blind. Just like us, they were never taught how to play the game of love. It's not their fault, and I do not blame them. My parents were two of the loveliest people in the world. My mom had a heart of gold, and my dad is a lost, but at one time, loving soul. So, what I've discovered after years of sleuthing case after case in the mystery of love is this. It all comes down to how we play our positions in the game of love. What is the game of love? The game of love refers to the dynamics and interactions involved in relationships. I call the game 4-cross love. As a love investigator, I have observed there's 4 positions on the compass of love: north, east, south, and west. Each position has a distinct biological concern that drives our actions in love. So without you being fully aware of it, it's how you show up in life, and it's what steers you in love. Like our blood types, we are born into these positions, which means you cannot change it, and you're not more than one. You cannot change anyone, nor should you want to. But what you can do is learn how to read them. Here's a quick glimpse into the 4 positions so you can start to see yours on the compass of love. On offense, the north position is driven by a need for certainty. They're controlling, commanding, aggressive. Also on offense, the east position is driven by a need for freedom. They're exciting, exuberant, and contrary. The south position, on defense, the south position is driven by a need for stability. They're steady, supportive, and amiable. Also on defense, the west position is driven by a need for security. They're pensive, persistent, and patient. These positions are not this way at a constant. It's our underlying human operating system. In other words, you can play all 4 positions in the game, but you're always operating from your positional perspective. Here's what each position is likely thinking when confronted with the idea that they might be blind in the game of love. North. No, that's stupid. It's not me, it's you. East. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's totally my fault. South. Well, that must mean there's some groups out there that I can join, so I'm not alone. West. I'm gonna have to go think about this. Is there a textbook on this? If you notice I start at the north position and follow a clockwise cycle, you're observant. There are 4 distinct parts of the cycle that you can observe every day, all day. Here's an example. North, ignition. An idea is brought up. I'm hungry. Let's go get something to eat. East, exploration. Information and possibilities are gathered. All right, what should we get? Thai, burgers, salad? They decide on Thai. South, execution. Do the thing. Eat. West, evaluation. Reflect on the experience. Was it good? Will we come back? Then the cycle goes back to north and starts all over again. This cycle is happening 24/7, 365 in every way you can think of. And you're always playing the game from your position. Okay, you're playing your position in the game of love and an idea is brought up. You act from your concern. If you think the most important part of the cycle is based on your concern alone, and you think you're right, you're not seeing the cycle. You're blind. You don't fully appreciate others have a viewpoint, and you certainly don't understand how they could possibly see it that way. And they don't understand how you see it the way you do. Sound familiar? Misunderstanding, misinterpretation. I call this blind upset. Blind upset is the chasm between what was said how it was meant, how it was heard, how it played out, and how it makes each of us react and feel based on our positions in the game. When you open your eyes and start to see this game that's unfolding right in front of you every single day, you'll be able to play with your eyes wide open. You won't be blind like our parents. Four-Cross will show us how to play with grace, empathy, and understanding. And what we will get, the result, is love. If there's one thing I continuously get when introducing the possibility of the 4 positions in the game of love, it's this. Oh yeah, well I don't fit into one of those positions perfectly. I'm kind of all of them. You're right, you do play all of them at any given time in life because you have to. But I promise you, when push comes to shove and your biology is triggered, it's not your personality, it's your positional concern. Personality tests don't definitively tell us anything, so we can be all over the place. But I promise you are upset and concerned for a definite, perturbing, consistent reason. This is the unknown, blind, but wholly responsible self, which means we're going to have to work harder than randomly answering a subjective personality test based on how you want to be seen, what job you're applying for, what relationship you're trying to get out of, or the cute gal or guy you're trying to get a date with. Imagine you're walking into a gymnasium. Maybe it's your old high school gym. You see a basketball in the corner, you pick it up, you shoot around, you swish a couple, you airball 1 or 2, you play horse by yourself, and then a couple friends show up and they want to play. It's fun. When you learn how to play 4-Cross Love like a champion, the game of love is like that. It's effortless fun and sweaty joy. It's peace, harmony. You won't sit on the bench afterwards wondering how it all came together so perfectly, and you won't leave this life alone. If there's one thing I want you to walk away with today, it's that if you've ever been hurt, scared, or confused by the game of love, it's not your fault. Being blind in the game of love makes it impossible to play effectively and win. But I promise you, when you're going to learn how to play the game of love effectively, you can with this game. Because love is awesome. Thank you.